Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely fascinating 17-year journey of Thomas Cook. We're going to see exactly how this incredible organization went from offering a simple one-day train ride to building a massive global travel empire right before its sudden and shocking collapse in 2019. It's a story of incredible innovation, rapid expansion, and ultimately, a pretty stark cautionary tale about the crushing weight of corporate debt.
The sheer scale of this contrast is just staggering. I mean, consider this. Here is a company that started way back in 1841 by charging just one single shilling for a local train trip. Yet 178 years later, its final act was stranding more than 150,000 customers abroad in a single day. The operational footprint required to even have 150,000 people on vacation at the exact same time is mind-blowing, and it highlights just how massive this titan of tourism had actually become.
To really understand how we got there, we're going to break this sweeping history into 5 distinct eras. First, the birth of modern travel. Second, expanding the family empire. Third, shaping middle-class travel. Fourth, the modern corporate era. And finally, the ultimate collapse.
So let's kick things off with part 1, the birth of modern travel, from temperance to tourism.
Now, you might naturally assume a global travel agency was born out of a desire to, see exotic beaches or explore new cultures. But the origins of modern tourism were actually rooted in the temperance movement. The founder, a cabinet maker named Thomas Cook, firmly believed that alcohol was to blame for society's problems. So in 1841, he organized a special return train journey from Leicester to a temperance meeting in Loughborough, which was just 12 miles away. He spent years arranging these kinds of railway trips for Sunday schools and anti-alcohol societies before it finally clicked and he realized the massive commercial potential of travel. By 1845, he had organized his very first for-profit venture to Liverpool.
And it is amazing to see how quickly Cook scaled the whole operation. He goes from that local 12-mile trip in 1841 to taking groups all the way across the English Channel by 1855. Then, incredibly, by 1872, Thomas Cook is organizing and personally leading the world's first round-the-world tour. That journey took 222 days and covered more than 29,000 miles. Literally, within a single lifetime, he shrunk the globe.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this company literally invented the all-inclusive consumer expectation we have today. On that first continental tour in 1855, Cook took 2 parties from Harwich through Antwerp, Brussels, Cologne, Heidelberg, Strasbourg, and finally all the way to Paris. And for the very first time, he offered a complete holiday package where a single fare covered your travel, your accommodation, and your food. He made international excursions accessible, affordable, and predictable for the everyday middle-class person.
Moving right along to part 2, expanding the family empire, where John Mason Cook takes the reins.
Things really kicked into high gear when the founder's son entered the picture and aggressively shaped the company's operations. In 1864, Thomas Cook welcomed his 30-year-old son, John Mason Cook, into the business, and John, well, he brought a highly ambitious, almost ruthless vision to the family empire. If his father was the pioneer, John was the escalator. He personally conducted the company's first American tour in 1866. By 1886, now fully in charge, he was introducing incredible luxuries, even launching an entire fleet of lavish Nile steamers, built specifically to cater to the absolute cream of Victorian high society.
But it wasn't just the physical transportation they were innovating, they were building the entire infrastructure of international travel. In 1874 in New York, the company launched Cook's Circular Note. I mean, imagine traveling internationally in the 1870s without digital banking, credit cards, or ATMs. Carrying large amounts of physical gold or cash was incredibly dangerous. So this financial innovation was an absolute game changer for secure consumer finance abroad, acting as the direct precursor to the modern traveler's check.
That brings us to part 3, shaping middle-class travel and building a global brand.
Thomas Cook's innovations completely transformed how the middle class experienced the world. This was a company constantly pushing boundaries. Back in 1845, Cook produced a handbook for his Liverpool trip, essentially inventing the modern travel guidebook. Decades later, in 1922, they organized a massive 5-month escorted tour through Africa, from Cairo to the Cape, complete with a 1-month safari. They even pioneered the first air tour in 1927. They flew a group from New York to Chicago just to watch the Dempsey-Tunney heavyweight boxing match. The whole package, which included flights, a hotel, and ringside seats, cost $575. They completely transformed the global tourism landscape by making the previously impossible perfectly routine.
And you can really see their ultimate cultural victory in their iconic tagline, officially introduced in 1984, "Don't just book it, Thomas Cook it." It shows just how deeply embedded this single company became in modern consumer psychology.
For generations, Thomas Cook wasn't just a company name. It was literally a verb. It meant safety, it meant reliability, and it meant the promise of a well-earned rest.
Now we enter Part 4, the modern corporate era, defined by mergers and mega acquisitions.
Leaving the family-owned era behind, the company entered a highly complex and honestly pretty turbulent corporate phase. The family era officially ended in 1928 when Frank and Ernest Cook, the two surviving grandsons of Thomas Cook, decided to sell the business. From that point on, the company bounced between massive international conglomerates. It became less about a singular vision for travel and much more about corporate shuffling, debt management, and fighting for market share.
The company suffered massive structural whiplash. First, it was sold to Wagenslitz, the French operators of the Orient Express. Then, in 1948, the company was actually nationalized. It became state-owned under the British Transport Holding Company. Just imagine a travel agency being an arm of the government. Then, in 1972, it was privatized once again and bought up by a consortium that included a bank, a hospitality group, and an automobile association.
During this modern era, they embarked on an incredibly aggressive expansion strategy. As the world digitized and travel got cheaper, Thomas Cook tried to sweep up everything to maintain its dominance. In 1990, they bought DiC International to become the world's leading foreign exchange retailer. They were acquired by German banks and airlines in the 90s, merged with the Condor Travel Company in 2001, merged again with My Travel Group in 2007, and combined their retail operations with the Cooperative Group in 2011. It was just this endless cycle of absorbing foreign exchange retailers, airlines, and rival agencies.
Which finally leads us to Part 5, the ultimate collapse and the end of an era.
Despite a legendary history and a massive global footprint, all of that corporate weight finally became too much to bear. By 2019, after 178 years of operations, navigating 2 world wars, and literally changing the face of global society, the company had no choice but to take steps to enter into compulsory liquidation with immediate effect. No rescue, no buyout, just an immediate hard stop to one of the world's oldest travel firms.
So, what was the immediate catalyst for this abrupt end? It was exactly this staggering number: 200 million pounds, or about 250 million US dollars. That was the huge funding deficit demanded by banks like the Royal Bank of Scotland. Thomas Cook simply could not find the cash to satisfy its lenders. It was the massive financial hurdle that finally broke the back of the travel giant.
And the fallout from this was immediate and historic. Because they were an all-inclusive package provider, running their own airlines, their own hotels and buses, the collapse triggered the largest peacetime repatriation in UK history. The UK Civil Aviation Authority had to scramble to deal with more than 150,000 Thomas Cook customers who were suddenly stranded abroad without return flights or paid hotel rooms. The logistical nightmare of bringing all those middle-class vacationers home is a really stark reminder of exactly how massive their operational footprint had become.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this. Thomas Cook survived the invention of the airplane, the birth of the internet, and multiple global conflicts. But in the end, it couldn't survive modern corporate debt structures and changing independent booking habits. So, the next time you're browsing for an all-inclusive getaway online, ask yourself, is the traditional package holiday a relic of the past, or is it just waiting for its next great innovator?